Hey everyone, it's Aisling. Today we're going to be delving into some predictions for Leaving Cert Irish 2025. These predictions came directly from an Irish teacher, so they'll give you that extra edge. As a student who achieved over 580 points in the Leaving Cert, I understand how being aware of important topics for your paper can help set you up for success. Today we will be covering everything from the oral examination to the reading comprehensions, so make sure to keep watching to get yourself prepared. Studyclix has just launched the Irish Boost add-on, which provides focus support through tools like video tutorials and exercises which will guide you through key topics on the course. Throughout this video, I will be highlighting how you can use Irish Boost to supercharge your study. Alongside these tips, I will also be mentioning lots of resources to help you while you're studying. They'll all be linked in the description below, so to save yourself the hassle from trying to find these resources again, leave a like on this video so you can return to it easily. Just a disclaimer before we jump in. Predictions are a good tool for identifying which topics you might want to spend a little bit of extra time on or study in greater depth, but I would never advise only studying the predicted topics. Leaving cert papers can be unpredictable and are often influenced by a number of different factors, so I would advise you to cover the basics of each topic first, and then if you have a little bit of extra time left over and want to return to the predictions, that would be a good strategy. These predictions are educated opinions. I am not the SEC, so your guess is as good as mine. But with that, today we will be covering each section of the Leaving Cert Irish exam. And as we do, I'll identify important topics for each section, which may be likely to feature on the paper. And I'll also be mentioning resources and tips you can use to enhance your study. Before sitting the Leaving Cert exam paper in June, students will have to take the oral examination over the Easter holidays. Students typically score well in this section, and your success depends on your preparation and comfort level in conversing in Irish. This year, students will have to prepare 10 strat pictor. You will inform the examiner of the 10 strat you have prepared when you enter the room. I would advise having these written down on a piece of paper and handing it to the examiner. When the examination starts, students will pick one strat at random. If you pick a strat that wasn't on your prepared list, then you can say, "Ní airna mé an strat seo," and you'll pick again. For the co-raw, it is not required that you talk about current affairs or topics you have no interest in. The most important thing is taking control of the conversation and leading the examiner to the topics that you want to speak about. For this reason, it's not possible to predict the questions that the examiner might ask you. However, Studyclix Irish Boost can help you get prepared for any question by breaking down oral skills into simple, easy to follow steps. Irish Boost covers everything from the strat pictures to helping you prepare personal pieces on your school or family. So make sure to check it out to set yourself up for success in your oral exam. Moving on to paper 1, the first section that students will have to tackle is the oral exam. For the oral, the most important time is before Quiz A begins. During this time, students will want to have their highlighters ready and be going through the questions and translating keywords and trying to predict what content might appear in the oral. Students will have 90 seconds to do this from when the tape begins to when the first speaker starts speaking in Quiz A. This section is worth 10% of your whole exam. While it's not possible to predict what topics might appear in the oral as it changes every year, it is important that students familiarize themselves with common questions which feature in this section. The first one is, Cén Falintas atá lucha sa fógra, what vacancy is mentioned in the advert? Number 2 is Luig Gochaliocht na Skillana a bé ag an chet a cheapfer. Mention 2 qualifications or skills that the person who is chosen will have. Number 3 is Cén Comórtas atá I gceist sna fógra seo. What competition is this advertisement about? And the final one is Cén Seanachal a luin, and then one of the actors, which means what Seanachal does the actor mention. After the oral, students will have to complete the composition section of paper 1 on Ceapadóireacht. For this section, I would recommend that students choose a topic from either section A or section C. I wouldn't recommend that students choose a topic from section B, the scale section, as students typically struggle to gain high marks in this section. For this section of the paper, the most common topics which feature relate to national or international problems, but please be aware that if the title says Fibana, then you must discuss more than one issue. For this year, I would recommend that students prepare for essay titles relating to political systems, so voting, democracy, or elections. All of these topics are related to current affairs, and students might expect to see them on their Leaving Cert paper in June. In addition to this, I would also advise students to prepare for an essay on Ireland today or what the future might hold. students can bring in a number of social problems under this essay title, so to make your workload lighter, don't be afraid to reuse vocab that you've used for other essay titles. If students are looking for inspiration for some vocab that they might want to use, they should check out the Studyclix examiner reviewed sample essays. We have sample essays on all of the common topics such as alcohol, agus druggy, and foragen. So make sure to check those out on the Studyclix website if you want to get some inspiration for your composition section essays. Moving on to paper 2, this is where most of the more predictable questions come up. For the reading comprehension, question 6a regularly asks students to identify verbs in the Sir Brihar, most commonly the Amshar Kotcha, and to identify nouns in the Tishal Gelejuk singular, masculine or feminine. For question 6b, this is a 12-mark question, and some of the most common questions are Hannes a hui an slucht seo I bhaim earth. Táver gá fuinte olas id de focal féin, as an slicht mar takeíocht le de fragra is lór seasca focal, and Táver á hús a scríb an túdar an slucht seo. Táver gá fuinte olas id de ocal féin, as an slucht mar takeíocht le de fragra. To best prepare for this section, you should prepare the layout for question 6b, which will allow you to get through this section quickly. To do this, I would advise that you practice some past question 6b's from the exam papers or mock papers, which can be found on Studyclix. After the reading comprehension, the next section on the paper that students will have to tackle is the prose section. For Leaving Cert Higher Level 2025, 2 out of the 5 named stories will appear on the paper. Students will have to choose and answer one. This is a 30-mark question and should be completed in 30 minutes. For a top grade, students are expected to write 2 to 2.5 A4 pages, but the quality of the work is far more important than the quantity. Since COVID, 2 stories have appeared on the paper each year, so predicting what might come up has become a little bit more challenging. But this year, I would recommend that students cast an extra eye over Herlamabok and Oshin Ijirna Nog. The most common question for this section is to discuss the relationship between the 2 main characters. Students will need to demonstrate a thorough understanding of the story through their answers. The most successful candidates will do this while linking it to the question asked. If you want to see how this can be achieved, check out the H1 sample answers available on Studyclix, and we have H1 sample answers for each of the 5 stories. Next, moving on to poetry. If you have studied the 5 named poems Gavin, Kulskara, An Tarakir, An Spalpin Fonach, and Magrosa Ijulibini, you will have to answer question 3a on Filiacht Amniha. The most commonly occurring 9-mark question for this section is to discuss the life and works of the poet. For this question, you should memorize an answer on each of the poets on the course. Doing this will allow you to save time in writing your answer and will help guarantee marks. You will have to discuss either 1 point on the life of the poet and 2 on the work, or 2 points on the life of the poet and 1 on the work, and also provide the correct name of the poet. If students provide the incorrect name, if it is spelled incorrectly, they will get 0 marks for this section. So it's really important that you get this right. If you want to find sample answers to memorize for this section, you can find them for each of the poets on Studyclix. Students should also focus on having answers prepared to the 6-mark questions Hannes a hui an Dansha I bhaim earth and Jane Crucius Madricht an Dawn. These poetic technique questions are very short and should be formatted as providing a point and then explaining it or expanding on it. As 2 poems have come up each year since COVID, it is once again more difficult to predict what poems might appear on the paper, but I would recommend that students cast an extra eye over Kulskara and An Spalpin Fonach. If you would like some additional help while studying these topics, you should check out Irish Boost. Studyclix Irish Boost provides bite-sized lessons on the themes and poetic techniques of each of the poems, and even more focused lessons on potential exam questions which might appear on the paper, such as how An Spalpin Fonach affected you, and the contrast between the relationship of the man and the woman in Kulskara. Finally, moving on to the additional text section, considering that there are 5 various texts that students can study, students' main priority should be demonstrating in-depth knowledge of their chosen texts. Students should focus on perfecting their knowledge of the main themes and main characters in their chosen texts to perform well in this section, as these commonly feature on the paper. For students studying on Thrill or a Higna Hitcherum, you can find lessons on the settings, background and characters of these texts on Irish Boost. And our expert Irish teacher even goes through how students might demonstrate in-depth knowledge of these texts in bite-sized lessons. Firstly, to get a H1 in Leaving Cert Irish, it is important that students can demonstrate a strong command of Irish grammar. Across Paper 1 and Paper 2, students' ability to correctly use Irish grammar is examined. A lot of students struggle with Irish grammar, feeling like they don't understand the basics. This is why Studyclix Boost has created dedicated video lessons on all of the basics of Irish grammar, from An Amsir Caite to the Mo Canélach. So if you need a little bit of extra help with Irish grammar, make sure to check this out. Finally, with orals approaching, it is completely natural for students to start to feel a little bit nervous, especially if this is their first Leaving Cert exam. To ease those nerves, make sure to check out the free full-length oral exam on Studyclix's YouTube channel. This video features an examiner and a student going through each section of the oral exam to help give you a clear idea of what you can expect in your exam. If you want an additional help structuring your own responses for the oral exam, Studyclix Boost has even more examples of the co-raw and of vocabulary to help you do this. That's it for the 2025 Leaving Cert Irish predictions. If you're ready to take your study to the next level, check out the Studyclix Irish Boost add-on, which has everything you need to succeed. It includes clear video tutorials on essay writing, oral prep and grammar, dedicated exercises to help measure your progress, and at $49.99, it covers the whole course for less than the cost of a single grind. To get Irish Boost today, visit studyclix.ie/boost and make Irish revision easier. Subscribe for more prediction videos coming soon, and happy studying.